Why don't we start with Angry Wuzza? Maria, go ahead and tell us about the film.
Yeah, thanks everybody for coming out today and for having the festival too. So, an Angry Wuzza, that was the one that had the little creature with her pigtails that talked about exploring anger, and Maggie was my sound designer on it. And as far as it starting, I drew the characters, and then I wanted to like have a world for them to explore, and being curious about psychology and emotions. That was sort of the catalyst for it, and hopefully to have a piece of content that could be something that kids and parents could watch together and use tools like being curious about anger. And Maggie, do you want to talk about us working together sound-wise for?
Yeah, so first of all, I just want to thank you for bringing me onto the project. It was so much fun. I think the first thing that really struck me about the project was figuring out how sonically we can create these two different worlds. So she goes from the real world to the emotional world through the mirror, and how would we create a sound that is distinct to that particular world, and how would we explore what anger sounds like. And I think we ended up coming up with some pretty cool ideas using like fire crackling bonfire noises for the anger character, and for when we go into the emotional world, we did a lot with like some reverb effects.
Influences?
Yeah, it's a good question. So for an Angry Wuzza, my influence is the PBS show Arthur. That was kind of a style influence. And then Dr. Seuss for some of the color palettes, and like the whimsical tree of being long-limbed and colorful. And yeah, the Mariel, she's sort of like an anteater type creature. And then Abigail, she's kind of like a little cow. So I took those characters and morphed them a little bit and let them take on their own life.
For me, I definitely think Inside Out played a huge inspiration for mine. Again, just because of the whole like transition between like the real world and the emotional world.
Approaching emotions with curiosity, and I was just wondering if that is not being a psychologist or understanding that, but is that a way, is that like a known way that that we teach young kids about emotions, or where did you come up with that idea, and what age group are you hoping that this is geared towards? And have you tested this on any kids, and what was the response?
Yeah, thank you. I'd heard the phrase, it's more for adults, but don't get furious, get curious, as far as like when you're angry. And as far as stuff I've learned about through psychology, there's cognitive behavioral therapy with like doing a thought record. So kind of like slowing down and asking questions about your feelings and looking at thinking errors. So that can be like catastrophizing or maximizing the negative and minimizing the positive. So going through like questions like that to like slow down, be curious about what's going on, and helping to put things in perspective. And part of it too is just like distracting from oneself too. It's like, okay, well, let's play a game, let's tell a joke, let's stomp our feet. And as far as feedback from kids and parents, a lot of adults, I made it as a children's book too, so I wrote and illustrated that, and there are postcards out front with like an emotions wheel that can be helpful for adults, but also talking with kids. And it's like, well, what's sadness look like or feel like? What's happiness look like or feel like? What's going on when you're feeling curious or playful? And there's a link too for the children's book with it. But as far as testing with that, so far, adults like it as far as like slowing down. A colleague here said he felt like he just went to therapy watching the film. And I consider that a compliment. Hopefully it's helpful. And from kids I've heard probably age 4 to 8. It's kind of what I've seen. Like younger than that, it's planting seeds, but younger kids maybe don't have as much of a grasp of feelings yet. And getting a little bit older and like navigating those and like having conversations with adults or caregivers to kind of navigate the complexities of feelings and having them be okay. That was a point I wanted to make too, that like no feeling is bad, and to have that sense of curiosity. But one little boy who saw it, he liked it a lot and liked the sweetness of it and the curiosity. I have a friend, she read the book to her little 2-year-old grandson, and he likes the palm tree joke part best. He probably doesn't get the pun. It's probably very much her enthusiasm for telling it and like doing the ha ha ha, like, you know, really boisterously laughing. So yeah, I think that's a big part of it, is the engagement and the conversation that hopefully can come from it.
Okay, I think we need to move on, but this has been great to have so many talented animators and our first ever sound designer on the panel. Congratulations on wonderful films. And,